All right. Hey guys, welcome back to the underground. Once again, we are back today. This time we're going to be reviewing Arizona Sunshine 2, which launches December 7th. However, if you pre-order it, you do gain access to it today, December 5th. So hopefully everyone's having a great day out there, and welcome. We're going to be breaking down a couple things on this game. I'm going to share my opinion on it. And just tell you my thoughts on it, man. And like I said, hopefully you all are having a great day. And what is up, everybody? Aceville LC doing it live. We're just doing it live today. So Arizona Sunshine releases today with early access. It is a sequel to one of the grandfathers of first-person VR shooters, and that is, of course, Arizona Sunshine. And it was a really popular game for its co-op. It is, of course, a zombie survival game. Not so much a horror game. I mean, it is a zombie game, so I guess it passes as a horror game, but not really known for being scary so much as it's just simplistic arcade gunplay and really fun co-op with a friend. Now, first things first, is Arizona Sunshine a good game? Yes, I am happy to say. I actually really enjoyed this game. I played it both single player. I played it single player, co-op, and I tried out the 4-player Horde mode, which there's currently one map. It's actually the same map as the first one from the game, the first game. And I have enjoyed the single player campaign and the co-op the most here. The 4-player Horde mode is fine. I've never really been typically a huge fan of those, and I probably won't revisit it much, but I did enjoy it for the hour or so that I played it. But yeah, so Arizona Sunshine 2 takes place after the first game, and like I said, the game is good. Is it this super next gen, blow you away thing? It has its moments, but no, it's really the best way I could describe it is being just basically take the first game and then improve everything about it, like literally everything about it. And let me make a special note here. I'm actually not a big fan of the first game. I was not a big fan of it. I know I said I don't know if I said I played it or not or enjoyed it, but truth be told, I thought it was too simple in its gameplay. It was extremely janky, which I didn't like. And so one thing that right away I like about this game is that not only does it look much nicer, the sets it has some really, really nice set designs. Some are better than others. It also has some really cool cinematic moments. Some moments, in fact, that are partially some of my favorite moments in games. This one features it, and I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to mention as to what that is, but I will just say something that I also enjoyed in Uncharted, in Hitman 3, and I don't know, Siphon Filter 2. I'm so old. But anyways, yeah, so this game, like I said, at first, it does actually have a very next-gen feel and look to it. It does use 60 frames per second, reprojected to 120, and I know that's been a sore thing for some people, makes some games, especially, most notably like Horizon Call of the Mountain, it causes some visual issues. This game does not really suffer from that. Despite having reprojection, it's actually really smooth and clean overall. You might have to fidget with the turn speeds just a little bit, but for the most part, it's fine. It actually, at times, it can look really stunning and really beautiful, just like I said, right from the get-go in the beginning. But I think the game has it looks really, really good. And then it has just enough art style, stylistic design and stuff like that to kind of separate it a little bit. Because really, if they didn't have this slight accent of stylistic design, it'd probably look extremely bland and boring. So I'm really, really glad with the art design here. So as far as the zombie killing itself, man, they have definitely upped their game here a little bit, to the point to where I was actually questioning whether or not this game does a better job than The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners in terms of interacting with the zombies, the dismemberment, the damage that you can deal to them, being actually illustrated and animated. They actually did a fantastic job with this. I mean, when you shoot a zombie, there is a gaping hole, like that shows a rib cage or something. You can shoot their arm and their arm falls off and the bone is hanging out. It is brutal and it is gory, and that's one of the things that they kind of advertised, and they did a pretty solid job with that overall. The way that the zombies are animated and take damage is pretty cool. Now, right here, you can see there's like this opening scene with this helicopter crash. And yeah, this looks fantastic. This is something that I really think is a huge improvement from the first title. The sets, it's got really nice sets, but it also has these, not many, but it's got a couple really cinematic moments. And that's something that I think you know, not a lot of VR games have, so credit where credit is due. I really like how they, you know, invested some time and effort into trying to make some cinematic moments that just kind of make you feel like you're more experiencing in like a movie or something. Let's see here. Oh, I didn't realize I might have had the sound on that. Hopefully that wasn't too loud or anything. But yeah, here I'm like examining the zombie that fell on the fence. But gameplay wise, so let's move on to the gameplay. Gameplay wise, this game feels really good. Obviously, you know, after the fall, they really took a lot of things from that, what they learned from that, which was a huge improvement over the original gunplay from the original game. It was very, you know, it was very just pick up a gun, aim and shoot, and then press a button to eject the mag. This game does have full manual reloading. You can either choose to grab a magazine and pull it out, or you can just press a button and eject the clip. You grab from your ammo on your chest and you shove it in a new one, and then you pull the charging handle. Thank you, Tatum, for telling me what that is called. But yeah, man, so gunplay wise, all the guns feel really, really good. They actually make good use of the haptics and adaptive triggers. Again, something that they, I think, kind of learned a lot from with after the fall, and they did a really good job. That's really important because they also have a good variety of weapons to select from. There's loads of different, you know, there's not like, I wouldn't say that's like a selling point in the game is loads and loads of like different types of weapons, but there is a nice variety and range of them. Here I am just fiddling around. You know, this gameplay footage here is my very first time playing, and I was, you know, just kind of experimenting with everything. You know, this game had gotten comparisons to like Half-Life Alyx and stuff, and so I really, for the first couple of hours, took my time with this game, experimenting with what, like, how deep does the physical interactions go. Ace Diaz, what up, man? He says, AJ, how is it? I got it. It's good, man. It's good. It's solid. At the very least, it is like solid, but I think it's pretty good, actually. Like I said, the best way to describe it is that it cleans up a lot of the issues I had with the first game. Better sets, better level design, and some cinematic moments, better interactions, all these different things. And then, but yeah, the gunplay is good. There's everything from pistols to shotguns to rifles. There's even a flamethrower, which is pretty badass. I was a big fan of that. And again, a really good job with the animations in the game. Lighting hordes of zombies on fire is very satisfying. And that is a big thing here. a main part of the game. I think the main appeal of this game is if you're in the mood to just mow down large hordes of zombies, this game is pretty exceptional in that regard. It is very good at throwing huge waves of zombies at you, but also giving you the tools that you need in order to mow them down and just watch them, just body parts fly everywhere and all this stuff. There's also a little bit of customization, as you can see here. Just like in the first game, there's several different masks and hats and all sorts of things you can put on yourself, on your head. Didn't see a beanie yet, so definitely gonna ding some points for no beanie. No, I don't know if there's actually a beanie or not, but there's everything from gas masks to cowboy hats to, I don't know, kabuki masks, all these weird different things. And, you know, I guess if you're just playing single player, it's not really anything you'll notice. But if you're playing co-op, then you will actually get to see each other wearing those masks. So it does actually give you a little bit of a reason. There is a kind of a point to that after all. But so the main story picks up where basically that helicopter crash. I'm not going to get. Thank you for the donation, Wally. Does Game Cat now? I will answer your question in just a second. The game picks up where basically the helicopter crashes and you end up hearing the guy on the radio in the helicopter talking about how they're trying to find patient 0. And so that's basically, and because they believe that the military or whoever it is, they believe that they can find a possible cure for the zombie apocalypse. And you know, this game was written by Rob Yescombe. I've said it several times. One of my favorite, my favorite game writer of all time. He's done other titles such as Farpoint, which was probably one of the best stories in video games I've ever played in my life. Especially if you're a sci-fi fan, it was just perfection. He also did Invisible Hours, which was great. And of course, not to forget Crysis 2, which was so funny learning that later, because I remember playing Crysis 2 and thinking, why is this story kind of good? like I'm just playing a sci-fi shoot 'em up first person shooter game. And I remember playing Crysis 2 when it came out and being like, man, this story is actually kind of good. Like, that's surprising. Like, I remember it got to me a little bit. And again, you know, this is a little bit different of a take. You are basically, like I said, you basically assume the role of now trying to locate this patient 0 and potentially find a cure. And that's kind of your character's motivation. He's also been in isolation for a really long time. So just the fact that he sees that other people are alive, you know, he's very ecstatic about it. And one thing from the trailer they showed was, of course, the voice actor. They've got the same voice actor returning, and to be honest with you, like, I did not like the voice acting or the dialogue from the first one. I like immediately had to, not immediately, but I eventually turned it off because I just couldn't bear it any longer. I'm a little picky about stuff like this. I know I've called out other games like Horizon Call of the Mountain. He sounds like Ron Swanson in that game, and I can't get it. Nick Offerman is the actor, not the actual voice actor, but that's who the Horizon Call of the Mountain guy sounds like to me. You can't unhear it. Once you hear it, you can't unhear it, and it just completely kills it for me. So at least this guy has his own thing. When I first saw the trailer for this, I was a little annoyed by the voice acting here, but I will say, actually, in the game, I found it to be much more enjoyable and fitting, and of course serves as kind of telling the story a little bit better. So, but yeah, the voice acting and stuff did not bother me as much as I thought it would. It can be sometimes, it was a little bit funny, definitely made me smirk here and there. At other times, it definitely made me cringe a little bit. It's a nice balance overall, though. But anyways, so one thing I will say is like this story, again, going to be completely avoiding spoilers as much as possible here. I'm going to try not to spoil anything for those that want to play, but just still try to describe as much of the game as possible without spoiling anything. But story wise, this was, I thought it was solid. Like it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was like, you know, my favorite thing that Robbie Escombe did. Obviously that was Farpoint. But I do think when you compare this story to other video games, like by itself, it's like, it's an okay story. But when you compare this story to other video games, then I think it definitely is slightly better at the very least. And there's some moments that definitely got to me. There was obviously this spot here. I mean, again, this is the first like 5-10 minutes of the game, so it's nothing huge spoilery. But in this helicopter crash, this is where you end up meeting your new friend Buddy, who's basically just a military a dog that you find. I don't want to go too far into his background either, because he does have like some cool story stuff to discover about him that does tie into it, and it's just a nice little touch, of course. But the thing that I can talk about is just your interactions with Buddy and using him as a gameplay element. This is the second game we've gotten today where you have a pet companion, and this one is actually done really, really well. In terms of, like, you know, I said this game does everything that the first one does, but better. And one of those things is kind of, I think, there's only really 2 bugs that I ran into in this game for the most part, aside from maybe an occasional little something. The big one that I found was definitely sometimes after beating a level, there's a loading screen, and sometimes the game would crash. It actually happened, I think, like 4 or 5 times, but luckily, after loading into the new level and then it crashing while loading to the next chapter or whatever, I would restart the game and it would start me right there, right where I was in the next level. I didn't lose any progress. So that was like not a huge deal. However, if you're playing co-op, that is something to keep an eye out for. That if that's something that is prevalent in the co-op playthrough, then that's going to be more of a hassle, because you're going to be, you know, if it's got some kind of crashing issue or something between each level, your progress will be saved, but you'll have to exit and get back in, rejoin with a friend. That could be a little problematic. I imagine that's something that they'll have patched, if not already. But I did want to mention that because I did experience that. Here's our first interaction with Buddy, and of course you get to pet him. He's got nice floofy head and little wiggly ears and stuff. And I've always been a sucker for pet companions in games. Red 13 from Final Fantasy VII is my favorite video game character of all time. I love animals, and I like this trend of animals becoming companions in VR games. I think if you're playing solo, having Buddy with you actually really helps it not feel so lonely. Like, I know I play games single player. I prefer single player story driven adventures. But there was something to this about that I enjoyed, where having Buddy with you, where it just made the game and being alone in the apocalypse feel a lot less lonely. And you do I did kind of grow a bond with him. And yeah, man. So story-wise, this game, again, no spoilers, but this game they did show something from the trailer, and that moment, I will say, was an interesting one, because like you know what's coming, you've seen it in the trailer, and even though still that happened, I will admit that during that sequence, I did tear up a little bit while playing, and I actually became really angry and was super motivated and just started killing everything in my path. And I think it's really cool that a game can bring out some emotion that way. That's something that I think is in, that's the touch of Rob right there. Or at least hiring somebody that is a skilled writer and having a game evoke some kind of actual emotion from the story and stuff is pretty cool. And again, without spoilers, this game does take it does get really, really dark, which is something that Rob Yescombe, I think, he has kind of displayed that he's not afraid to get a little out there, get a little crazy with stuff. And in terms of this game, it does get to the point to where I was like, damn, like this is dark. But I enjoyed the story overall. It's not like, I don't think it's like one of my favorite stories ever, but I thought it was good and it worked for this game. Good God, I love how Buddy is absolutely covered in blood. Of course, you can use him as a gameplay mechanic where he basically, you can sick him on people and he's some kind of trained dog where he can take down people. And you'll see it right here. He'll take this guy down and just start munching away at him, and you can kind of use him to your advantage. He also serves as 2 additional holsters for weapons that are like, can fit on your hip or that are hip mounted weapons. So you can use him to store extra guns. It wasn't super useful in the way that it's designed because it kind of like swapped they have this thing where like once you grab a gun, and once you grab like another gun, like it like hot swaps your weapons and stuff. So it was kind of weird. I didn't end up using Buddy as a holster. But that's one of I think the critiques that I have. This game uses the same inventory system as After the Fall, which is basically you get 2 wrist slots and you put one in one wrist and one in the other wrist, and then that's it. Besides grabbing weapons, you do have weapons on both your hips and your back, one on your back as well, and then your ammo on your chest. I do think one of the critiques is that I do wish there was more inventory slots. You basically only get 2, and there are craftable items in this game, such as Molotov cocktails, there's grenades, stick grenades, and landmines that you can craft. And that's something that this is both a positive as well as a critique here, because while I really, really like the addition of having a crafting system, motivation for going around and grabbing all the glue and the metal and whatever you can find to store it to be able to craft weapons, having such a limited inventory actually really makes it hard to use some of these things. And it definitely seems like it would have just been a little bit more fun to have more inventory to actually give you more motivation to want to collect all these things so that you can stock up and get to use all these weapons at your disposal. But they kind of bottleneck it, and they bottleneck it by having just 2 inventory slots, and then that's it. But yeah, so you saw here some kind of the things you can use Buddy for. He can definitely get into some small places, have him retrieve like different keys for you. They listed in the patch notes as a known issue that sometimes the keys like wouldn't appear. I never actually experienced that at all, so I don't know if that was already fixed by the time I got review keys for the game. But that was not something. The only issues I ever experienced was the crashing at the end of the chapter, which, like I said, luckily saved my progress. I didn't lose anything. I didn't lose any progress. I didn't lose any items, anything, and the other thing is that Buddy sometimes visually can go all over the place. Sometimes he clips through walls. He disappears and comes back or something. When it comes to the level of jank versus the original title, it's not even close. The original title is, it's an early VR title, so it's, it kind of gets a little bit of a pass. It was also freaking hilarious in some ways, but that's one of the reasons I didn't enjoy the original title, was because of, as funny and stuff as jank can be, I don't find it as enjoyable as just being really good and polished. And I feel like this game is way, way, way more polished in terms of just several things. One of the things that maybe not so much is that sometimes the way Buddy just kind of walks through a wall, or he'll attack a zombie, take down a zombie, and he'll be sticking out of the wall while like killing him and stuff. And you know, that's one minor thing that could be improved upon. It just kind of breaks the immersion a little bit. But as far as those masks and everything that you pick up as well, I do love that you can you can find different hats and masks and stuff. You can put them on Buddy as well, and they've got some cool stuff stashed around that some of it looks really funny on him, some of it looks cute, some of it looks really cool. There's all sorts of different things for both you and Buddy that you can wear and find and put on yourselves. And yeah, it usually it looks pretty cool. When you're playing in co-op, you just share one dog. Actually, I will upload some co-op gameplay to my Patreon for those. A little bit of footage of me playing with Brian from PSVR 2 Without Parole. He seemed to enjoy the game a lot more playing co-op. I liked both. I liked the single player and I liked the co-op. I actually am usually a single player person, but I had a really good time playing with him. And that's hard to do. No, just kidding, Brian. I love you. But no, seriously, like, I don't always like to play with other people. I usually like to play single player, but I actually had a really, really fun time playing co-op. So if that's something you enjoyed about the first game, I do think that is something that you will enjoy about this one. Here you can see, like I said, in all this gameplay I'm showing today, I am definitely doing the stress test as much as possible. I'm not only playing the game and experience it, but I'm also fiddling with every last thing that I can. And it doesn't have, like I said, it doesn't have the deepest physical interactions, but it does have lots of stuff to interact with. I do like when you're using the grenades, there's actually good options in this. When you're using the grenades and stuff, you can pull the pin. When you got a Molotov cocktail, you can use a lighter and light it. But if you don't want to do that, you can actually just press the trigger and it will just do it. This scene here was another example. This is another example of how I think the game starts really strong. It was a lot of fun here during this sequence, and really was just, there's lots of really nice sets, and there were some spots in this game, like I said, there's some that I'm absolutely not going to spoil. There's one in particular that I really, really loved, and like I said, I would, without spoiling it too much, I would compare it to, like, you know, a sequence out of like either Uncharted or Hitman 3. That was just a really cool cinematic moment. And again, we don't get lots of VR games that have enough, you know, big enough studio or budget or time to really implement some really cinematic sequences. So I thoroughly enjoyed moments like this, where you get to have some fun, and there's some cool cinematic looking stuff here. We're just cruising along, me and Buddy cruising along the airport, and we're just riding these stairs here. This is just one small example of some of the few really, really cool moments that I enjoyed about this game, where it mixes things up from being just running room to room. I'm getting hella trophies right now too. Instead of just running room to room shooting zombies, it's like, no, like, this game knows it's a game, and to have some fun with it. Look at all that. It's glorious, man. The brutality against the zombies and the blood tracks and all that, the just huge pile of zombies. You seriously kill a lot of zombies in this game, a lot. And all the zombies, you will see the same one sometimes kind of repeat, but it's not like Saints and Sinners level where you'll have like literal like twins constantly. It actually, in terms of zombies, these are some of the better looking zombies I've seen. Like I said, I like how varied they are. The first game was pretty good about that too. But yeah, the campaign, I think it took me about, I don't know exactly, but I want to say somewhere around 6 or 7 hours to beat. So it did feel like maybe not like a huge AAA full length campaign, but it did feel like a full complete campaign at least. You know, I think Arizona Sunshine was also only like 4 hours, but I will say that I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the moment to moment gameplay, the sets, all of it pretty much way better than the first game. And again, mind you, I didn't like the first game very much, but I think this is kind of what I would have hoped for from the first game. So I think newcomers to VR, people that are, you know, I sometimes like really niche, hardcore element kind of games. And I think this game bodes really well for people that just want to jump in, kill some zombies, have a good time, enjoy a little bit of a story. I think it actually is really well tailored for that audience. I don't want to call it Arizona Sunshine 1.5 as an insult. I actually want to say that in a way that it's kind of like a compliment. I mean, it's either it's just one Arizona Sunshine 1.5, I think describes it pretty well. But it does have several 2.0 elements in it that make it, I think, a worthy sequel. And, you know, like I said, I enjoyed this much more than the first one. And yeah, I've had a good time with it overall. So, wow, that was already a 30-minute review. I want to keep this kind of short, guys. So before I get out of here, just want to say I did enjoy this game. As far as the price, I would have liked this to be a little bit cheaper. I'm not crazy about, it is definitely not a $60 game, in my opinion. I think the sweet spot, like the killer deal for this game would be like, the killer deal is $30 for this game, is kind of how I think. The first game was $40. I thought that was too expensive. This game could pass as a $40 game. Now, if you've got the extra cash and you got the time and you're interested in this game, or if you've already pre-ordered it, I think you're going to have a good time with it overall. Nothing to worry about here. It's pretty quality. Like I said, it may not be this super in-depth next gen title, but it does have some very, very nice qualities. It's got decent writing. It's got really good, like a lot smoother gameplay than the first. There's also melee weapons in this, which I thought were very satisfying. They do break over time, so you kind of reuse them. As far as the crafting stations, they are kind of weirdly placed. I know this is something that I probably wouldn't have even noticed, so I got to give credit to Brian here for pointing this out. But he kept mentioning, like, why is there just randomly a crafting table here? And what I realized was there's some elements with this game where they just kind of go for convenience over like creativity. Some things are just there just to be there and serve their purpose versus like, oh yeah, that would make sense being right there. It's not going for like super realism or anything. It's just, it knows that it's a game, and probably some limitations either from being multi-platform or just in the level design. But yeah, man, speaking of level design, I got to give a big shout out to some of these poolside levels. Oh my God. Like I said, there's lots of really memorable sections for me in this game. There's different moments that I really, really enjoyed. And yeah, some of the sets I really, really liked. And some of my favorites were being poolside. There was one poolside area in particular where I think there was just like music going and stuff, and it was a lot of fun, man. Just running around the pool, executing zombies off the high dive, and just running around with Buddy. And you know, they do have some. I do really like some of the things you can do. It may be classified as kind of like what would I say, making your own fun a little bit, but there are some little secrets here and there where you can do something that's kind of cool. Again, this was shown in the trailer, but being able to like call Buddy and put him in a shopping cart and then push him around in the shopping cart, and then like running him into zombies and stuff. Like, I had a really good time with this, man. I think it's a really, really solid game. And again, the best way I can describe it is it takes everything from the first game and just does everything slightly better, at the very least. There's some things that are very much better, like I would say some of the cinematic elements. There's a couple here and there. There's not tons, but the few and far between that there are, I think were done really well. But in terms of like polish and stuff, it is way better looking and everything. So, all right. So before we get out of here, let's go ahead and answer any questions that you guys have. If you guys feel free to drop a question in the chat. I see all of you here. Hello. Happy Tuesday, December 5th. Hope you're having a wonderful day, all of you. And thank you for joining and hanging out while I talk about my thoughts on Arizona Sunshine 2, which I think is pretty good if you're just joining. Waleed is a game cat, now formerly known as Game Tiger, something it's cut off. Says, can I track foveated rendering, improve graphics here? Well, I think of course. And that's something that I would like to see this game. Now, again, for being a game that uses reprojection, it actually does look very good overall. If there's any critique I would have on the graphics, is that there's like some little spots here and there that look a little bit less impressive. Some areas look a little bit, not areas, but some like parts of areas can look a little bit more generic. But there's also parts that, like I said, I stopped. There's not many games that can make me stop and look at a tree and be like, that's a damn good looking tree. This game did manage to do that a few times. There was definitely several times where in particular, I really like how you could see in the, you could really like see in the distance, like all the way in the distance, you see trees, palm trees, or you see mountains and stuff. It looks really, really nice overall. But of course, eye tracking with foveated rendering is something that hopefully we start to see become a standard. I don't know why that's been so slow. I'm guessing, PSVR 2 just launched earlier this year, so developers didn't really get enough time. It seems like a lot of developers weren't prepared for this. They were prepared to use Sony's reprojection, which is historically not been that great. But again, some have been able to get by with it, and I think this one does pull it off. This does not bother me as much. So what other questions do you guys have before we go? Let's see. Secret Sub says it may be only a few hours of gameplay, but it's what you make it, and I'll have many of hours of joy with the kids. You certainly will. You have an absolute blast with your kids. I'm sure they will love Buddy. And on top of that, this is a game where I played it on medium solo, and then I played it on hard co-op. But there are additional difficulties, and this is one that I am very curious to go back and try on like apocalyptic difficulty, and see what kind of difficulty spike, what kind of challenge it presents there. Playing on medium, I think I died maybe like a total of 2 or 3 times out of like 6 or 7 hours, so I didn't really die much. On hard, I definitely died more in a shorter span of time. But let's see here. Yeah, so Markio asks, is there any real replay value to the game? There's a platinum trophy, which is nice, and the platinum trophy doesn't seem too hard to get. It seems like maybe part of the more difficulty part, it would be playing it on apocalyptic difficulty. Mark Poppin' Pringles Leaf says, is it a buy now or wait for a sale? Well, honestly, that's a tough one. Like I said, for me personally, I think this is like a killer $30 game. I think it is still worthy of a purchase for $40. I do feel like it just barely passes. Like $40 is kind of the max that I would want to pay for this game. So it being $50 and especially $60, it kind of leans a little bit more weight for a sale, especially with something like Resident Evil 4 coming out this Friday. But I don't want that to take, but you know, as long as you understand that this is a good game, and I did enjoy it. It's just, there's a lot of games right now. There's a lot of big competition. I mean, Resident Evil 4, I'm expecting to be a 10 out of 10, and I picked it up for $20. So, you know, it depends on what kind of buyer, purchaser, consumer you are. Here's a look at the first crafting station, by the way, where it starts you out with two things. Like I said, if you purchase this game, I think you're gonna you're gonna enjoy it. No doubt about it. It's pretty good. It's pretty polished overall. Over there says better than Arashi, I'm assuming. Yes, it's better than Arashi. Arashi is an awful port. But it's still a good game. So hopefully they can spruce it up a little bit. It's just a really bad version of that game. At least so far. Aceville VR says, with no boss battles, how's the zombie variety? Highly repetitive. Zombie variety is pretty good. Zombie variety is pretty good. Like I said, I think there was a few times, not many, but there was definitely a few times where I noticed the same zombie that I had seen in the past. But I think that's one of the things that, you know, again, I compare it to Saints and Sinners, where Saints and Sinners really doesn't have that many different types of zombie variety. And this game, I think they do have a good variety. There's a lot more depth to the look, the shape, the types of zombies. Well, not types, because they're all just zombies and they're all pretty much the same. At the most, some of them are, you know, bigger, heavier set, and then some of them might have like a biker helmet or a mask, and you have to kind of like shoot off the mask first and then shoot their face. There are some big hulkier ones in which you have to kind of figure out how to take down. Perhaps you use Buddy in that situation. I don't know. But yeah, man, the zombie variety is pretty good, and yeah, I like the designs of them overall. But more importantly, I like the way they can be like dismember and everything. Yeah, Marcus says, can you dismember them? You absolutely can. You can shoot their leg off. You can shoot their arms off and the bones sticking out. You shoot their chest and their ribs are showing. You shoot their stomach, I think, and their guts are showing. Like they did a really, really good job. It's kind of reminds me of like what The Walking Dead Onslaught advertised back in the day. No, they did a really, really good job with that. You can also decapitate zombies with melee weapons. You can stab them in the head and yank it out and their heads explode. There is no shortage of awesome brutality against the zombies in this game, for sure. Let's see here. All right, guys. I think that is it for now. So, hell yeah, man. Well, guys, I hope this was an informative and fun review for you. And it's just nice to see we're getting another good title today. Kind of saves the day from something else that came out. Rashi. And you know, it makes up for the disappointment of the other game. But you know, at the end of the day, this is really lining up to be a fantastic week. I can't wait to check out Resident Evil 4 on Friday. And yeah, man. And yeah, stay tuned, because there's lots more exciting stuff coming soon, and can't wait to share about that as well. Yeah, Beat Saber dropped today. But thank you guys for coming and hanging out for just a little bit, and appreciate you as always. And I will see you again very soon. Y'all have a wonderful day. And to all my Patreons, stay tuned for the co-op gameplay if you want to check that out. It's not very spoilery at all. Just going through some sections that are actually good for not spoiling with Brian, if you're interested. So I will see you guys there, and I'll see you guys in the Discord. Y'all have a wonderful day.